The billionaire was shocked to see his kid calm, while a black homeless man was crying nearby. Nathan Callahan's heart slammed against his ribs the moment he saw Sophie. There she was, sitting like she belonged, a small figure on the cracked city sidewalk, right next to a black man whose body shook with soft, uncontrollable sobs. The man's face was slick with tears, and his eyes, red and raw, stared at nothing. Nearby, a few pedestrians stepped cautiously around them, their whispers thick with disbelief and pity. Nathan's mouth went dry. This was downtown Chicago's roughest block. Nathan's mind reeled. Who was this man? Why was Sophie with him, alone in this wreck of a neighborhood? As Nathan stepped forward, a flash hit him. Something deep and raw. Memories he'd buried years ago, shocking shards of his own shattered childhood. Nights cold and empty, parents too busy chasing money to notice the silence swallowing him whole. The tight lump in Nathan's throat grew heavier, choking off his usual businessman calm. Elijah's sobs broke again, more desperate, raw like a wound reopened. Sophie's eyes, wide but steady, locked onto Nathan's with a strange knowing. A silent message that rattled every wall Nathan had built around his heart. It wasn't just about the man or the street. It was bigger, way bigger. People nearby started to stare. A woman gasped. Who lets their kids sit there with a homeless guy? Isn't that dangerous? Whispered a man, shaking his head. Yet Sophie didn't flinch, didn't pull away. Nathan's breath hitched. The scene was surreal, his perfect world colliding with a painful truth he never wanted to face. He knelt down, trembling. Sophie, what's going on? But Sophie just squeezed Elijah's arm, a quiet strength in her voice when she finally spoke. He's not just anyone, Dad. You don't know him yet, but he's part of us. The weight of her words hit Nathan like lightning. A secret trembling between them, unspoken, but pulsing with life and ache. The man Elijah was, the girl Sophie was, and the father Nathan tried so hard to be. They were tangled in a story far messier and deeper than anyone could guess. Nathan's sharp, polished life was cracking right here on this cold sidewalk, and the truth waiting to surface would shake everything he thought he knew about family, loyalty, and himself. What was Elijah hiding? Why did Sophie trust him with such fierce quiet? And what did this mean for Nathan's carefully guarded world? The answers were buried in the shadows of pain and hope, and Nathan was about to begin uncovering them. Hey, before you continue with this incredible story, I have an important warning for you. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content. And while you're there, leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes a difference. Let's interact. Nathan stared into Sophie's eyes, searching for understanding, for clarity. but her gaze was steady, almost fierce. In that moment, time crashed together. His past, her present, a fragile thread connecting them to a stranger. Before he could speak, a chilling shriek sliced through the air. "Stay away from him!" A woman's voice cut through the crowd, harsh and frantic. Nathan jolted, eyes darting to the source. The pedestrian spectators jumped back, confusion spreading like wildfire. A tall figure rushed forward, a man dressed in a dirty, tattered hoodie. His eyes shimmered with desperation. "Just leave him alone," he yelled, pointing at Elijah. The man's voice boomed, wild with fear. Nathan's heart raced as he took a step back. Was this man Elijah's friend, or someone threatening them? Elijah, still crumpled on the pavement, flinched at the sound. Sophie clutched his arm tighter. "It's okay," she whispered. But the frantic man didn't hear her. He advanced, eyes locked on Elijah, trembling with rage. "Just get away!" he screamed again, fists clenched, trembling as much from anger as from apparent fear. People nearby shifted uneasily, glancing between the trio. "Do you know him?" Nathan asked, his voice wavering, unsure of how Sophie could remain calm amidst this chaos. Before Sophie could respond, the man lunged forward. In one agile motion, he yanked Elijah's thin hoodie, exposing a flash of lighter fabric around his arm. Nathan's eyes widened as he caught sight of a tattoo, the numbers grotesquely familiar. A serial number, cold and sterile, proudly inked across the skin. "What?" Nathan's words faded into a horrified whisper. "They're watching you," the man blurted out, his voice trembling. "They won't stop until they find him." Elijah's entire being seemed to shrink at the words, fear pouring from him like a broken dam. Nathan's heart sank. Who were they? What was this about? He turned to Sophie, but she was staring at Elijah, her small face twisted in confusion, like a puzzle with missing pieces. "Dad, I told you," Sophie cried, a mix of anger and urgency in her voice. "He's not just a homeless man. He's important." With shaking hands, Nathan reached for Sophie's shoulder. "Sweetie, we need to leave," he urged, not fully processing the gravity of her words. "No," she shouted, pushing his hand away. "You don't understand." Before Nathan could respond, the frantic man reached into his pocket, pulling out a small, crumpled photograph, holding it aloft as if it were a weapon. "That's him," he pointed at Elijah, with a mix of fury and terror. "That's the one who knows the truth. They'll come for him. They'll come for you all." The crowd gasped collectively, whispers echoing like a rising tide of panic. Nathan felt sweat pooling in his palms. Suddenly, the chaos didn't seem like just noise. It was a warning, a threat looming dangerously close. Sophie's face turned ashen. "Dad, I didn't want to tell you." Nathan's world tilting, he locked eyes with Elijah, the sobbing man who suddenly felt like a ticking time bomb. "What truth?" Nathan asked, his voice cracking, a raw urgency underpinning every syllable. But before Elijah could respond, a loud roar of an engine spluttered to life. A black SUV screeched to a halt right at the curb, door flinging open like an ominous invitation. Figures in dark suits poured out, faces obscured by shadow. Time froze. Silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating. Nathan's heart thudded in his ears, panic clawing at his throat. The hooded man shouted, and chaos erupted. Sophie stood frozen, eyes wide, lost in the whirlwind around her. Nathan lunged for her hand, but the question hung heavy in the air, unanswered. Who was Elijah, really? What had they stumbled into? And now, with danger closing in, would they even get the chance to find out? As the black SUV's engine roared to life, Nathan's pulse raced in tandem. Shadows fell over the scene, swallowing the light, as the figures in dark suits closed in. Panic gripped him. "Sophie, we have to go," he shouted. But she remained frozen, staring wide-eyed at Elijah. The hooded man shouted again, "Run!" gripping Elijah's shoulders tightly. "Please, he's not safe." But it was too late. The suited figures were nearly upon them, faces obscured. Nathan instinctively moved to shield Sophie, his body tense and ready to protect. "Get back!" Nathan shouted, but the words were drowned by the growing chaos. Suddenly, one of the suited men, tall and imposing, stepped forward. "Elijah," he called, voice smooth but layered with authority. "We won't hurt you. Just come with us. It's time." At that, Elijah's eyes widened in terror, the sobs stopping in his throat. "No, I can't go back," he cried, the raw desperation cutting through the noise. Nathan seized the moment. His instincts kicked in. "Who are you?" Nathan demanded, his voice shaky, but loud enough to pierce through the din. "What do you want with him?" The man's gaze flickered to Nathan, a strange glint in his eye. "What are you doing here, billionaire? This isn't your world." In that instant, the tone shifted. A collective hush fell over the crowd. People froze, all eyes on Nathan. Whispers fluttered through like the rustle of leaves. "Billionaire?" they murmured, like that word held all the answers. Elijah's gaze darted between Nathan and the suited man, confusion threading through the tension. "Dad?" Sophie's voice trembled as she took a step towards Elijah. "What is going on?" Before Nathan could grasp the implications, something even more shocking happened. From behind Elijah, a woman stepped forward, her features sharp and familiar. It was Laura, his childhood friend, the one he thought had vanished all those years ago. "Nathan," she called, eyes wide with desperation, "you have to listen. This is bigger than you know." Shockwaves rippled through him. "Laura? What are you doing here? You're alive?" "It's complicated," she breathed, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. "But Elijah is not who you think he is." The crowd shifted, eyes darting between them, their expressions a blend of fascination and horror. Nathan fell silent, the world around him narrowing down to Laura and Elijah. Everything he thought he knew crumbled like dust. "Who is he, then?" Nathan whispered, his heart pounding in disbelief. What is he to us? Family, Laura replied, her voice thick with emotion. Blood family. Suddenly, Nathan felt the ground beneath him slip away. What did she mean? How could that be possible? Run! The hooded man urged again, panic rising in his voice. No, not without answers, Nathan yelled, locking eyes with Laura, searching for clarity in the storm. But all he found was a torrent of confusion, a secret that threatened to upend everything. Elijah stood there, shaking, fear etching deep lines across his face. You have to trust me. For one heart-stopping moment, Nathan was torn between illusion and truth, between protecting his daughter and confronting a past he thought he buried. Then came a deafening crash, a shattering sound of glass. All heads turned. A second black SUV careened through the street, slamming to a halt amidst the chaos. The door swung open, and a familiar face emerged, someone Nathan had thought to be lost forever. The shocking realization hit him like a punch to the gut. "Get in," the figure yelled, voice urgent. "They're coming for you all." Time froze, and the world around him blurred. Nathan's heart raced, and fear pressed hard against his chest. "What's happening?" he gasped, struggling to comprehend the connections unraveling before him. A choice loomed, time standing still. Who was Elijah? What secrets had his past hidden? And what lay ahead for them all? Nathan felt his heart race, watching the chaos unfold in front of him. His childhood friend, Laura, had just appeared out of nowhere, and everything felt surreal. "What do you mean he's family?" he managed to ask, almost choking on the reality of her words. "Trust me, there's so much you don't know," Laura replied, urgency coloring her voice. Elijah trembled, but stood tall beside her, eyes darting between the dark-suited men and Nathan's shocked expression. "You have to listen," he pleaded, desperation etched on his face. "I'm not just a homeless man. I'm part of something big." "Big? What does that even mean?" Nathan interjected, struggling to comprehend the gravity of the situation. Before he could process it all, loud footsteps echoed as the suited men surged forward. Their approach felt predatory. "Time's up, Elijah," the lead man said, voice cold and commanding. "You're coming with us. Now." The crowd was tense, whispers swirling like a storm. Some people pulled out their phones, recording the scene as if it were a spectacle. Nathan felt angry, confusion mixing with fear for his daughter and the man beside her. "Get in!" the familiar voice shouted again from the second SUV. He recognized it as his college friend, Danny. The adrenaline in his face was unmistakable, alive with an urgency Nathan had never seen before. "We don't have time to explain, please." Just as Nathan was about to pull Sophie away, everything exploded. A loud bang shattered the air, sending shockwaves through the crowd. A flash of light erupted from the street, a deafening sound echoing in his ears. "Get down!" someone yelled, but the moment stretched infinitely. Sophie grabbed Elijah's arm, and Nathan reached for her, but everything fell into chaos. Smoke billowed, cutting off visibility. People screamed, running in all directions like ants who had kicked an anthill. And then, from the swirling smoke, a figure emerged, a tall woman with wild hair and piercing eyes, standing there like a vision from another world. Her face twisted in agony as she unleashed a shrill cry that sent chills down Nathan's spine. "Stop! Don't you dare take him!" she shouted, her voice steeped in anguish. As the cloud of dust settled, Nathan squinted to see the woman's face more clearly. Recognition hitting him like a freight train. It was his sister, Sarah, the sister who disappeared years ago, the woman who had been declared dead. "Sarah!" Nathan's voice cracked, disbelief flooding his chest. The suited men hesitated for a moment, thrown off by her presence. "How is this possible?" Nathan stammered, grappling with the implications. "Why are you here?" "I'm here because of Elijah," she shouted, pointing a finger at him, voice fierce and filled with urgency. "He is the key. They want him because he knows things that can change everything." The air around them crackled with tension, everyone frozen in a moment of disbelief. Nathan's mind raced. Could it be true? Was Elijah really that important? As if sensing the doubt swirling in the crowd, Elijah stepped forward, eyes wide with fear, but filled with a determination that made Nathan catch his breath. "I'm here to protect the world," he said, the weight of his words hanging heavy in the air. "That's why they'll never stop searching for me." Noise erupted again, the dark-suited figures pushing forward. Nathan's heart hammered in his chest. "Run!" Sarah shouted, her voice strong amidst the chaos. "We need to go now." The reality spun around them. Families watched in stunned silence, confusion etched on every face. In that moment, Nathan faced a brutal contradiction. The urgent need to protect Sophie, to understand his sister's return, and the truth surrounding Elijah. He felt a tightness in his chest, an overwhelming sense of dread. As everyone dashed toward safety, Nathan turned one last time to Elijah. "What is the truth? What have you done?" Elijah's eyes bore into his, and for a split second, Nathan caught a glimpse of something that shattered every assumption he'd ever made. "I'm not just a key," Elijah whispered. "I'm the door!" And just like that, everything erupted into chaos again, leaving Nathan gasping for answers, lost in a world spun out of control. What did Elijah mean? Were they really in danger? Or was it something else entirely? The questions hung heavy in the air, vibrating with uncertainty, as Nathan realized their lives would never be the same again. As Elijah stood beside Sarah, eyes wild, everything blurred, and the chaos swirled around them. Nathan's heartbeat thundered in his ears, drowning out the sounds of chaos. Then, just as the suited men scrambled closer, the pavement exploded. Shattering glass and debris filled the air. The screaming increased. Nathan shielded Sophie with his body, pressing her to the ground as a cloud of dust enveloped them. "Stay down!" he shouted, panic clawing at his throat. Through the haze, he glimpsed figures darting away, pushing one another in a frantic rush for safety. Fear flooded through him. tightening its grip like a vice. "Is everyone all right?" Nathan gasped, glancing at Sophie, but she was already peeking through the dust. She looked terrified, mouth trembling. I don't know, Dad," her voice cracked, and Nathan's heart twisted. Then, from the edge of the chaos, he saw Sarah, locked in a standoff with the dark-suited men. Her eyes were fiercely protective, face drawn tight, as though she held the weight of the world somehow resting on her shoulders. "Get back!" one man shouted, arrogance oozing from every word. But Sarah remained firm, instilling an unexpected strength in the chaos. Just a moment before Nathan could move, a sudden crackle echoed. Another figure surged forward, wild-eyed and unhinged. Elijah's voice cracked, trembling. "No one's going to hurt me." He lunged forward, his arms raised to shield Sarah. But in a shocking twist, his desperation sent him crashing into her, as if he was both pushing her away and needing to be held. Nathan's confusion deepened. "What are you doing?" he roared. "I can't remember," Elijah shrieked, gripping Sarah's shoulders, eyes full of anguish. "It's all gone. They erased it." Nathan's mind whirled. What did he mean, erased? Why were they acting like this? There was more unraveling here than he could grasp. But then Sarah turned, her expression morphing into something terrifying, something Nathan had never seen before. "You have to let them take you, Elijah." Her voice broke, the strange urgency mixing with fear. "They're not what you think." "What?" Nathan's voice boomed through the confusion. "What are you talking about? Who is they?" Elijah's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I'm not myself. I was part of something, a project, a curse. They took me from my family, my life." Before Nathan could draw breath, a sharp whistle sliced through the air, and the shadows around the SUV shifted. Men in black stepped out, weapons drawn. Fear rolled through the crowd, gasps swelling. Nathan surged forward, desperation clawing. "Stop! This is madness!" Then everything changed. The leading man, his expression eerily calm, pulled out a small device, pressing a button. An electric hum filled the air. Suddenly, Sarah erupted. "Elijah, run!" But as she shouted, her whole form flickered, transforming right before Nathan's eyes. His pulse raced, jaw slack in disbelief. Sarah morphed into the familiar shape of their mother, a woman he lost long ago. "You must trust me, Nathan," she yelled, desperation in her voice, blending with a maternal tone. "Elijah is important. He's the key to everything. He can unlock the truth." And just like that, Nathan felt his reality shudder. Time froze. Was this all some elaborate deception? How was this possible? Nathan managed to choke, his heart hammering in confusion. "Because Sarah, or rather their mother, said," her voice now a chilling whisper, "everything you thought you knew was a lie. I never left. I was taken from you to protect you from them." The crowd gasped in shock, the tension thickening like fog. Nathan felt the ground beneath him shift. An unseen chasm opening up. What had been hidden for so long? Elijah? Nathan shouted, eyes wide, begging for answers. What does this mean for us? But as Elijah opened his mouth, a blinding light erupted from the device, engulfing them all. In that moment, Tyler's voice rang out, a fierce note of truth breaking through the chaos. You're all part of an experiment. There's no escaping the truth. And just like that, everything went dark. The world erupted in a blinding white light, engulfing everything in its path. Nathan shielded his eyes, heart racing. Fear fluttered in his chest as darkness swallowed the chaos. He really couldn't see anything, and then he heard it. A gut-wrenching scream, a voice that sent chills down his spine. "Sophie!" he shouted, panic piercing through him. "Where are you?" The darkness felt heavy, almost solid. He staggered forward, trying desperately to find her. But before he could move more than a few steps, the lights flickered back on, revealing an entirely different scene. They were no longer in the city, the chaos vanishing as if it had been a shared nightmare. Nathan looked around in disbelief. They stood in what seemed to be a sterile white room. No doors, no windows, just walls that hummed softly. Elijah was gone, vanished completely. Instead, a man with sharp features sat calmly on a sleek chair across from them, a small device in his hand, eyes glinting with a knowing intensity. "Welcome," he said coolly, as if they were old friends. "I think it's time for some truths." "Who are you?" Nathan demanded, fists clenched. It was all too surreal. "Better to ask what I am," the man replied, a chilling smile creeping across his face. "You see, Nathan, you are standing at the precipice of a greater reality than you can comprehend." "What happened to my family?" Nathan grappled with the weight of his words. Where was Sophie? Where was Sarah? "Oh, don't worry about Sarah. She's safely elsewhere," the man said, his tone brimming with smugness. "Where's Sophie?" Nathan's voice shook, a tremor of desperation creeping in. "What did you do to her?" "I didn't do anything," he dismissed casually. "She's perfectly fine, for now." "Stop it," Nathan shouted, but fear knotted his stomach. "What do you want?" The man's demeanor shifted. "Do you know who Elijah truly is? More importantly, do you understand what he represents?" "What are you talking about?" Nathan's heart raced, trying to put together the pieces. "His name is not really Elijah," the man said, leaning in like he was sharing an intimate secret. "It's a cover. He's a product of an experiment, a genetic line of selected individuals. You see, he can access a part of human consciousness that you mere mortals cannot. He is a key to the realities beyond your understanding." Nathan staggered back, recoiling from the implications. "What are you saying?" "He's just a man. Just a homeless man." "Ah, but that's where you're wrong," the man continued, eyes narrowing. "He is a descendant of the first to truly control the power that exists beyond nature. He holds the secret to immortality, knowledge, everything humanity has ever sought. That's why they're after him, why I'm after him." The air got thick, oppressive. Nathan's mind raced, desperately trying to understand. Could this really be true? Suddenly, a loud thud echoed, and the room trembled. A panel in the wall burst open, revealing Sophie, looking dazed, her eyes wide with confusion. She blinked, trying to grasp her surroundings. Nathan rushed to her, relief flooding him. "Sophie," he cried, wrapping her in his arms. "Dad, what's happening?" she whimpered. "It's okay. I've got you," he whispered, but his heart pounded with an urgency he couldn't ignore. The man shifted, frustration flickering across his face. "You don't understand the stakes here. The future lies in his hands, and by extension, yours now." "What do you mean?" Sophie asked, her voice small yet fierce. The man smiled again, but this time it felt sinister. "Because, dear girl, I've set my sights on your father as well." Nathan froze, confusion morphing into horror. "What? Why?" "Because," the man said calmly, "you are even more important than you know. Your bloodline holds the missing link, a combination of both worlds, the perfect fusion." The realization crashed down like an avalanche. Everything he thought he knew shattered. Nathan stumbled back, his world spinning. What did it mean for Sophie? What was coming next? "Wait, no, you can't!" Nathan started, but the man was faster, pressing a button on the device, and the air crackled around them. With that, shadows darted across the room, looming figures appearing as something cold and indiscernible, materialized from the depths of the wall. "Your fates are intertwined," the man said, a haunting satisfaction in his voice. "And what I unleash will change everything." As the darkness surged towards them, Nathan felt the ground shift beneath him. Who was he? What had he been hiding all along? And could they even escape this nightmare? The questions flooded in, drowning him in dread, the answers lost in the encroaching shadows. The room pulsed with the electric hum of tension as the shadows surged closer. Nathan's heart raced. The man's smirk twisted his stomach, a palpable threat lurking behind his cool demeanor. Suddenly, as the dark figures advanced, an enormous blaring alarm shattered the air, a siren that cut through the room like a knife. The walls flickered, lights dimming and brightening in violent spasms. Nathan felt the ground quake beneath him, the whole world tilting on its axis. "What's happening?" Sophie shouted, her voice edged with panic. "Stay close!" Nathan grabbed her hand, the cold metal of fear wrapping around his heart. He glanced at the man in front of them, who seemed utterly unfazed by the chaos. But then things took an even darker turn. The walls began to pulse as if alive, making it hard to focus. Nathan squinted against the flickering lights, and then everything shattered. The sterile room collapsed into a swirling mass of color and sound, like a kaleidoscope of violent memories. With a sudden jolt, reality seemed to split. A deafening crack echoed, sending a shockwave through the space. The figures around them morphed, twisting in and out of existence. Nathan instinctively shielded Sophie, but then something emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, cloaked in swirling darkness, her expression eerily calm amidst the chaos. "Stop it!" she commanded, reaching toward the man, and in that instant, everything froze. The room flooded with a blinding white light, and out of the brightness, Nathan recognized her, a ghost from his past. It was Clara, his long-lost love, the woman he thought he'd never see again. Her piercing gaze tore through him, filled with emotions that twisted his insides. "Clara!" he gasped, his heart leaping. But her lips remained a firm line, eyes searching his with a frantic urgency. "Nathan, you can't trust him." "Why are you here? How are you even—" Nathan's voice cracked, disbelief choking him. "There's no time," Clara pressed on, her face pale, shadows swirling at her feet. "They've manipulated you all along." "The truth is buried deeper than you can imagine." "Manipulated?" Nathan blinked, confusion overwhelming him. "Your family, it's not what you think." Clara's voice trembled as the noise of the room grew louder, urgency rising to a fight-to-survive pitch. "Elijah is a pawn, one of many. They needed him to crack the code of consciousness, of the universe itself." A pulse of dread curled in Nathan's stomach. As the implications settled, the man in the sleek chair sneered. "She's lying, Nathan. You don't even know the half of it." Sophie clutched her dad's arm, eyes wide. "Who are we supposed to believe?" "I know her." Nathan's voice was gravelly, the weight of his love layered with betrayal. "But what does that mean for us?" "Because," Clara replied, "you're more than just an observer in this game. You are—" And then the room swayed again, and Nathan felt a rush of vertigo. The device in the man's hand began to glow, casting sharp shadows across Clara's face. "Nathan, don't listen to her." He struggled to maintain his composure amid the growing chaos. Before Nathan could respond, the ground shook violently. The walls tore away, ripping open like fabric. The essence of everything began to unravel, and in the heart of the maelstrom, Nathan caught a glimpse of the truth, a distorted reflection of the world he knew, filled with countless faces resembling his own. Sophie gasped, "Dad, what's happening?" "Hold on," Nathan shouted. But as he reached for Clara, she screamed. The figures closed in, drowning out reason and hope. Then, in the eye of the storm, the world expanded and shrank all at once. One single truth crashed into Nathan like a tidal wave. He staggered back as realization hit him hard. Clara had not only returned, she was a key player. The connection between their past was more tangled than he understood. "Your blood!" Clara shouted, tears pooling in her eyes. "You're not just his dad. You're part of their experiment too." Nathan's world shattered again. Everything he believed flickered like a dying star. He turned to Sophie, fear twisting in the pit of his stomach. "What does that mean? What are you saying?" But Clara vanished into the rushing chaos, her cry echoing in his mind as the light swallowed them whole, leaving only one haunting question lingering in the air. Were they truly ready to uncover the dark secrets of their existence? The room pulsed with the electric hum of tension as the shadows surged closer. Nathan's heart raced. The man's smirk twisted his stomach, a palpable threat lurking behind his cool demeanor. Suddenly, as the dark figures advanced, an enormous, blaring alarm shattered the air, a siren that cut through the room like a knife. The walls flickered, lights dimming and brightening in violent spasms. Nathan felt the ground quake beneath him, the whole world tilting on its axis. "What's happening?" Sophie shouted, her voice edged with panic. "Stay close!" Nathan grabbed her hand, the cold metal of fear wrapping around his heart. He glanced at the man in front of them, who seemed utterly unfazed by the chaos. But then, things took an even darker turn. The walls began to pulse, as if alive, making it hard to focus. Nathan squinted against the flickering lights. And then, everything shattered. The sterile room collapsed into a swirling mass of color and sound, like a kaleidoscope of violent memories. With a sudden jolt, reality seemed to split. A deafening crack echoed, sending a shockwave through the space. The figures around them morphed, twisting in and out of existence. Nathan instinctively shielded Sophie, but then something emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, cloaked in swirling darkness, her expression eerily calm amidst the chaos. "Stop it," she commanded, reaching toward the man. And in that instant, everything froze. The room flooded with a blinding white light, and out of the brightness, Nathan recognized her, a ghost from his past. It was Clara, his long-lost love, the woman he thought he'd never see again. Her piercing gaze tore through him, filled with emotions that twisted his insides. "Clara!" he gasped, his heart leaping. But her lips remained a firm line, eyes searching his with a frantic urgency. "Nathan, you can't trust him. Why are you here? How are you even—" Nathan's voice cracked, disbelief choking him. "There's no time," Clara pressed on, her face pale, shadows swirling at her feet. "They've manipulated you all along. The truth is buried deeper than you can imagine." "Manipulated?" Nathan blinked, confusion overwhelming him. "Your family. It's not what you think." Clara's voice trembled as the noise of the room grew louder, urgency rising to a fight-to-survive pitch. "Elijah is a pawn, one of many. They needed him to crack the code of consciousness, of the universe itself." A pulse of dread curled in Nathan's stomach as the implications settled. The man in the sleek chair sneered. "She's lying, Nathan. You don't even know the half of it." Sophie clutched her dad's arm, eyes wide. "Who are we supposed to believe?" "I know her." Nathan's voice was gravelly, the weight of his love layered with betrayal. "But what does that mean for us?" "Because," Clara replied, "you're more than just an observer in this game. You are—" And then the room swayed again, and Nathan felt a rush of vertigo. The device in the man's hand began to glow, casting sharp shadows across Clara's face. "Nathan, don't listen to her." He struggled to maintain his composure amid the growing chaos. Before Nathan could respond, the ground shook violently. The walls tore away, ripping open like fabric. The essence of everything began to unravel, and in the heart of the maelstrom, Nathan caught a glimpse of the truth, a distorted reflection of the world he knew, filled with countless faces resembling his own. Sophie gasped, "Dad, what's happening?" "Hold on," Nathan shouted. But as he reached for Clara, she screamed. The figures closed in, drowning out reason and hope. Then, in the eye of the storm, the world expanded and shrank all at once. One single truth crashed into Nathan like a tidal wave. He staggered back as realization hit him hard. Clara had not only returned, she was a key player. The connection between their past was more tangled than he understood. "Your blood," Clara shouted, tears pooling in her eyes. "You're not just his dad. You're part of their experiment too." Nathan's world shattered again. Everything he believed flickered like a dying star. He turned to Sophie, fear twisting in the pit of his stomach. "What does that mean? What are you saying?" But Clara vanished into the rushing chaos, her cry echoing in his mind as the light swallowed them whole. And just like that, a deafening silence. The world slowed, each heartbeat echoing in Nathan's ears. Then, suddenly, from the dark corner of the room, a burst of energy radiated outward. A blinding beam of light shot through, illuminating the space. In that moment, a shocking twist unfolded. With a shattering sound, the man in the sleek chair morphed. His features warped and shifted until all that remained was a mirror image of Nathan himself. Nathan's eyes widened, disbelief gripping him. "No, it can't be." "Surprise," the doppelganger said, voice smooth and familiar. "You've always been your own worst enemy." All the air slipped from Nathan's lungs. The truth hit him like a freight train. How long had he been living a lie? Was all of this just a twisted reflection of himself? As the room swirled with energy, time felt suspended. Nathan felt the weight of everything crashing down around him. Would he ever untangle the web that ensnared his family? Could he trust himself? And as the light pulsed brighter, one last question filled the air. Who was Nathan Callahan really? The mirror image of Nathan grinned, a chilling smirk. "You've always been your own worst enemy." Nathan's heart pounded, each beat a reminder of everything crashing down around him. Was this really happening? Was this man truly him? The twisted reflection of everything he feared and denied? "Stop!" Sophie cried, her grip tightening around Nathan's arm. Her wide eyes darted between the doppelganger and her dad, confusion darkening her innocent face. "What does this mean?" "Everything you thought you knew is a lie," the man sneered, his voice smooth but filled with malice. "You are trapped in a cycle, Nathan. A cycle of failures that you can't escape. Just look around. The truth has always been here, hidden behind your very logic and choices." Suddenly, the alarms blared louder, the walls vibrating. Shadows flickered in the corners of Nathan's vision. The air around them thickened, and panic surged like a tidal wave. "Sophie, we need to—" But before Nathan could finish, the ground beneath him gave way. The room shook violently, and reality rippled around them. Everything trembled and twisted, pulling them into a swirling vortex of chaos. Just then, out of the darkness, a blinding light pierced through the haze. A portal tore open, sucking in pieces of the world around them. Faces flashed before Nathan's eyes. Memories, dreams, moments of laughter and pain. Clara had been right. All of it was manipulated somehow. But then, with a roar that screamed through the haze, the lights exploded. A form surged through the portal, crashing into the room and sending waves of energy crashing against Nathan. It was Elijah, eyes wide with a mix of terror and fierce determination. "You have to let go of your past," he shouted, voice straining under the pressure. "What are you talking about?" Nathan yelled, desperate for answers. In a flash, Elijah lunged forward and ripped the device from the doppelganger's grip, the light consuming him entirely as power surged toward Nathan. "This isn't just about you. It's about all of us." The figure recoiled, fury twisting his features. "You think you can escape? You're linked to this universe's fate." But in that moment, the room trembled again, and something shifted within Nathan. A sudden memory crashed into him, vivid and surreal. Not just images, but feelings. The warmth of love, the depth of despair. He felt every connection, every choice, pouring into him like a flood. It was as if all the truth of who he was to everyone he loved lay intertwined with the very fabric of the universe. "Stop! You don't know what you're doing," he shouted, as pieces of the fabric around him began to shimmer and tear. Then the most unexpected thing happened. Clara, standing in the corner, morphed again, but this time into a fully formed, radiant version of himself, the version he had always wanted to be. "No, not you!" his doppelganger screamed, fear etched into his face as he backed away. "You're not real." "Yes, I am," the radiant Nathan replied calmly, voice steady with a resolve he had never felt before. "I am everything you fear and everything you wish to be." Sophie gasped, taking a step back as everything swirled faster. The two Nathans faced each other, the tension thick enough to slice. In that moment, Nathan understood. They weren't just battling for survival. They were fighting over the truth of who they really were. But then, without warning, the ground shattered beneath them, and a massive tremor surged through the room. The radiant Nathan turned to his daughter, eyes glowing bright. "You have to choose, Sophie." "What do you mean?" she cried, panic rising in her voice. And with that, the room exploded into fragments, forcing Nathan into a whirlwind of dark and light. Instinctively, he reached for Sophie, but just as he made contact, a flash of brilliance engulfed them whole. Everything faded into blinding light, and when it cleared, they were gone. "Where are they?" Clara's voice cut through the haze, and the questions lingered. waiting for answers. As darkness blurred their reality, the remnants of the universe hung in an uneasy silence, leaving everything hanging at the edge of uncertainty. Who was the true Nathan Callahan? And what had become of Sophie and Elijah? As the blinding light faded, Nathan found himself in the middle of a familiar park. It was a space from his childhood, the vibrant colors and cheerful laughter echoing in the distance. His heart raced as he glanced around. Sophie stood by his side, her eyes wide with confusion and relief, but they had no time to linger. "Where are we?" she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know," Nathan replied, panic creeping back in. But the feeling of home was undeniable. The grass felt soft beneath their feet, the scent of blooming flowers filling the air. For a moment, it felt like everything would be okay. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw Elijah appear, shining with a confidence that lit up the space. "You made it," he exclaimed, relief washing over his features. "Is this real? Are we safe?" Nathan asked, gripping Sophie's hand tightly. "It's a chance," Elijah replied. "We broke the cycle, for now, but it's not over." "What do you mean?" Nathan's mind raced, the weight of the past still pressing on him. Suddenly, Clara stepped forward again, calm and composed. "You have to keep going, Nathan. This is a new beginning, not an end." "Sophie." Nathan turned to her, feeling the tightness in his chest deepen. "I promise, we'll figure this out together." With a nod, Sophie smiled, a flicker of hope illuminating her face. Just then, the park shifted, the sun setting quickly, shadows creeping around them. "Stay close," Elijah urged, looking around anxiously. As the darkness loomed, the ground trembled beneath their feet. Nathan felt a jolt of fear. "What's happening?" Suddenly, a loud roar echoed, and dark figures dashed through the trees. Shouting and chaos erupted. "They're not finished with us!" Clara's voice rang through the panic. "We have to move!" Nathan shouted, adrenaline surging as he grabbed Sophie's hand tightly, pulling her back toward the path. They ran together, hearts pounding, weaving through the trees that seemed to close in on them. "Keep going!" Elijah called behind them, a wild look in his eyes, ready to support them. "We've got to find the door." "Wait, the door?" Nathan questioned, breathless. "We can't let them catch us," Clara urged, her voice stronger. "The truth is out there. You have to believe it, Nathan." As they dodged branches and huge roots, they spotted a glowing archway at the edge of the park, bathed in light. "That's it!" Nathan shouted, joy mixing with determination. They raced toward it, laughter bubbling within as they drew nearer. But the shadows grew darker and louder, threatening to engulf them. Sophie turned, fear flickering in her eyes. "Dad, what if—" "No what-ifs. We trust each other," he shouted fiercely, pushing aside the fear tightening around his heart. "Together, we can face anything." With renewed courage, they dashed into the archway. The air crackled, and the moment they crossed through, bright light surged around them, blissful warmth wrapping around like a comforting hug. They emerged not in another place, but back in their living room. Everything was normal, untouched. Nathan stared, disbelief washing over him. "We made it?" Sophie's laughter echoed, a sound of joy he had longed to hear. "We did it, Dad!" Elijah and Clara stood beside them, the weight of the world lifting. The connection they shared, love, bonds thicker than blood, had brought them home. "Promise you'll remember this," Elijah said softly. "The journey isn't over. We must keep searching for the truth." "We will," Nathan vowed, pulling Sophie closer. "I won't forget again." They stood together, united, as the sun beamed through the curtains, illuminating the room. Nathan realized there was hope. His past didn't have to define him, and together they could create a new future. "Together," Nathan whispered, and then, like a whisper of wind carrying their hopes, everything shimmered with endless possibilities. "Now, before you go, you must subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive stories. Click the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about how this all ends. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know how it wraps up. Now is the time to show your support. Don't wait another second to share this.